just, I can't help but do what I do because it's in my heart.
Okay, I think we're good. Check 1, 2, 3. Run it down the line. Okay, so you're gonna state the the who, what, why, where, the how, when, where, what, and all that good stuff. Let them know who you are.
Peace, this is Darius from Los Angeles, California, content creator.
Where what they call you on the set? Are you still go by the DJ name, or you dropped that?
It's used in certain contexts and for certain projects, but I pretty much just let my name just be my name. Over the years, it's been the best fit from the jump off. So it took me a minute to finally come back around and say, hey,
wait a minute. That's
what are you doing, man?
I feel the same way, man. Because I had to do that a lot, but it's because my name's difficult to pronounce for some people. So I went by some aliases, but it all comes down to who you are, because it's the most important word in your language, right?
Absolutely. And I figure if I'm gonna leave an impression anywhere, or if I really want someone to know me, then I'm gonna tell them who I am, honestly, instead of something I created. It just makes sense.
Word.
Yeah.
Okay. So talk to us about the early years, like when you got on, because I know you used to rock the quad in high school, but how old were you when you got on, and what brought you to this medium?
It's funny because it's one of those things that I can remember from as far back as I can remember. It's something that I knew I always wanted to do, even before I even tried to do it. And we all have those early years stories of, when mom's at work, lifting up the lid on the phonograph and, doing some wiggy on some Kool in the Gang records or something. And, that was the first taste, of course. And I remember when I was about 13 in junior high, we had some friends that lived down the block that were a few years older than us, and this one cat was a DJ. He was actually like a working DJ, and he was probably 18, 19, lived in a house with a bunch of roommates, and he would let me and my boys just come over and play around on the system. And that's when I first touched like official 1200s.
Oh, word.
And that's like instant.
That was your bar mitzvah and shit.
It was instant. I mean, it was like, wow, okay, it's everything I knew it was going to be. And from that moment, I just knew, okay, I'm going to play on these as much as I can. I fortunately had enough people around me throughout the years. I'd say, those early teenage years, between like maybe 13 to 16, that were just generous enough to kind of, share their studio space and allow me to come in and just practice and just, fall deeper in love. And and that in turn kind of progressed into high school. I used to, like you said, DJ in the quad, the AV team. We used to just wheel out the cart, system on a cart, or turntables, mixer, had everything all built in one, and I just get out there and rock it in the middle of the quad.
And we were talking about this with Dorian the other day, but you guys actually had turntables and mixers at the school. Like, that's unheard of for most people across the United States or around the world, you know what I'm saying? Just having that set up in school. Maybe more today, but not back in the day.
Yeah, not in like, early mid-90s, I don't think, and it was stuff that they used for, school dances and proms, all that good stuff. So they had an in-house setup. And again, just fortuitously enough, I just happened to be at a school that had the system, and it was like, okay, cool, I want to DJ during lunchtime or whatever, so they let it happen. It was dope.
That's dope, man. That reminds me of Fame.
Right.
In high school.
That was my little like satellite fame moment right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, so did you have a DJ name back then?
I think when I first decided to name myself, I took names that I would use from like writing, from tagging, and one of my first names was Calypso. I remember, and that kind of, you know, with part of my family being Creole, Calypso definitely has like cultural connotation to it.
Yeah.
And that was one of my first names. I had a
Names.
few. I had a few.
Yeah,
you know,
of course,
I couldn't stick with one.
Yeah. Of course, we go through those. That's what's up. Do you remember the first record you got?
The first record I purchased. See, it's a trip because when I first started buying my own music, I was buying cassette tapes.
Yeah.
And
because that was our era, yeah, for sure.
yeah, you know, so that, you know, those first purchases were like, you know, Houdini. You know, I remember I bought LL Cool J's first album when it dropped.
Yeah.
You know, and like stuff I was buying on tape. Yeah, it was like, you know, Quiet Riot, and, you know, Twisted Sister. I think that was the name of the band.
Yeah. I remember Twisted Sister.
Yeah, and but like vinyl at that time, when I was starting to, you know, come into my own as a DJ, fortunately, between my father and my uncle, they had just massive record collections. You know, we're talking in the thousands. You know, so I would absorb some of that stuff. And when it came time for me to just really start personally buying my own music, that's when I started getting into house music at that time. We're talking like 90, 91. So I was buying like house records, you know, like some Todd Terry stuff, or, you know, early techno, like Speed Racer, you know, remix, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that was like some of the earliest vinyl that I purchased. And I remember it was pretty much mostly house music, house and techno at that time.
That's funny, man, that you even mentioned techno, because for me, you know, I think, especially on the East Coast, there might be an embarrassment that, you know, a grown man had ever listened to techno at some point on the circles that I was running in at the time. You know what I'm saying? Because I was pretty much hip hop, like that's been most of my shit. But I got into techno because I was looking for something, and I think it probably led to a more drum and bass sound. I think that's where it evened out at, a drum and bass down tempo sound. But techno I got into for a minute because I was, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they were dropping in hip hop lyrics in their mixes, and that's what, you know. And anything with a drum, we're African, man. You're gonna be drawn to that.
You
know?
can't respond to it.
Yeah. So, and I remember when you said Speed Racer, I remember purchasing that on cassette tape, like that particular mix, like. Yeah, and I had a corny one because there was a few different versions made.
Yeah. There was definitely one that was like, that was the mix.
Was the one, yeah.
And I remember I heard it at a rave.
Yeah.
The first time I heard it, it was like at a rave in like 1990. But, you know, growing up, I was like funk and disco, like growing up as a kid. So for me, that, you know, it was just a natural progression, you know, that 4/4 sound, and hearing it kind of like reimagined through house music and techno at that time was just, it was perfect.
I mean, I think if you are really a music appreciator in general, when something new comes along, you're going to give it a listen and see what you like about it, because it's music. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like even with country music, most people's ears will be tuned off until they hear Lionel Richie and Kenny Rogers singing "Stuck on You," and it's like, oh, this ain't so bad.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
you know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's where music heads go. They're going to check for all kinds of music.
Yeah, you know, growing up on music, you know, it was always a part of the household, always a part of my life. So I never turned, you know, an ear away from anything. It was like, all right, you know, what is this? Do I like it or not? And even if I haven't found something I like within this genre yet, I'm still not going to, you know, just cut it off. It's music, so you never know. And, you know, I think as a DJ and, you know, as someone that enjoys creating music as well, you have to be that way. You have to always be open to no matter what, no matter what genre, what style, because influence comes from everywhere. And you know, for me, it's always something that I'll never completely be closed off, you know, for any genre.
Word. Well, let me ask you this. I know that we're talking about a musical palette and how a good DJ has a wide palette. What's your favorite thing to rock though? Like when you really go in and you're feeling yourself and you're in your own studio and you're dancing while you're playing for yourself. Like what you like to rock to?
It's probably more than likely back and forth between like deep soulful house music and like disco, new disco. Really, as long as it's funky and soulful. It could be on the down tempo tip. I could be playing some just down tempo trip hop beats, flow into maybe a 110, 105 BPM, kind of like slow disco session, and then just get some just some nice deep African influenced house music. And that's, I do that all day, every day. And like you said, I'll be back here dancing, messing up while I'm mixing, but
Yeah. Nobody's watching.
All good.
That's how you're supposed to dance, like nobody's watching, right?
Exactly.
So what would you say that your style, after all these years, because you're a grown man now, coming from 13 years old until now, what would you say your style nets out at? How would you describe yourself as a DJ if you were trying to say, okay, somebody's choosing between DJs, here's the type of DJ I am?
There's a phrase that I coined years ago that was kind of more relative to what I do outside of music, which is more visual creativity, but I kind of define my style, which is very relevant to the music side of things, as cyber-organic, which is to me just a beautiful marriage between nature and technology. And just, I love organic sounds, but I also like, the fusion of what's progressing through technology. And whereas you might have a very, very organic African kind of infused rhythm, but now we got these synthesizers and everything like on top. And I like to kind of play around with both. I think that pretty much sums it up for me. It's always a nice, delicate balance between the two, and I think that's where I like to keep it for the most part.
Yeah, I could feel that because I think I was calling my brand of that one of them sort of like future retro. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, it connotates that same organic / modern feel. Like
right.
We have to innovate always, but there's roots, and the roots are important. So you can't ever leave the roots behind.
Footsteps to the future.
Yeah, totally.
It has to be that way.
I feel that. Okay. Well, speaking of the visual arts and the other stuff you do, I know that one of the brands you're working on is Modern Male, right? And when I think about it, this might actually come from your description, but when I think of the brand that you're building, I think of a Renaissance man, right? And I think that if I understand your sensibilities, the Renaissance is a necessity for all of us these days. You know what I'm saying? But you are a person who epitomizes the brand that you're building, because you're not only a musician, but you're also a DJ and you do visual arts. So talk to me a little bit about your visual arts and the brand Modern Male in particular.
Yeah, and all that comes from, again, just from childhood. I mean, ever since I can remember, I've just enjoyed, drawing and creating things visually, or whether it was, putting together, a mechanical woolly mammoth, with like 1,000 parts, just all that stuff was always interesting to me, and it's just passion. It's just, I can't help but do what I do because it's in my heart. So with that, over the years, as I was growing into young adulthood, and seeing that, okay, my passion for creating things visually can actually become lucrative. That's how it kind of formed into my brand, and just really started pushing content out to the world, whether it's just personal projects or doing projects for other people. And again, just like music, just like the music side, it was something I was always going to do, regardless of like whether it was going to be lucrative or not. It's something that I'd still be doing today. you know, just because I can't not do it. You know, it's like I wake up every day thinking about something I just dreamed about an hour ago. Like, all right, I got to make this. You know, and that's just how it has to be. You have to follow your heart, and I think that's kind of a. It sounds cliche, but it really is something that everybody needs to really think about. You know, every day in life. If you're not doing what your heart is telling you to do, then you're really denying yourself, you know, the fullness of your life experience.
Yeah. You know, I think that regardless of the religion or culture that we come from, I really feel like that is something that's universal, and that is something that's immediate and necessary for all of us. It's not even something merely to think about. It's like, if you're going to be here, you must. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got kids, you got obligations, you're in jail. Forget all of that.
Yeah.
What is the thing that you're meant to be on the planet to do? And just do that, regardless of where you are, it'll all work out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, I feel you, it sounds cliche, but dude, you speaking gospel, it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
You know, and the truth often gets repeated, you know, because it is what it is, and it's really that simple. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, like I said, it's just in me. It's who I am. It's, you know, it's a part of what makes me, and in turn, it's cyclical. I make, you know, what comes out of me. And yeah, like I said, I wouldn't have it any other way. I couldn't see my life any other way.
Okay. Speaking of life and how you are here and these talents you have, it's in your blood. Yes?
Indeed.
So people don't know who you are or what your lineage is. So why don't you share with us where you come from and where your musical. Because do you think that it comes from your father? Like, would you just assume that it does, or because I don't know about your moms too, like the rest of your family?
Just like, you know, the way you walk, your posture, everything comes from your lineage.
Yeah.
And so, without a doubt, I know my passion for music. You know, that's an easy one. That's a layup right there.
Yeah.
You know, just turn and look at Pops.
Yeah.
You know, of course, you know, with him being a musician and being just so passionate about music, you know, he lived his entire life through his musical passion. And I know without a doubt it definitely comes from him. And you know, it's hard for me to say whether it would be there as strong or not, because again, I can't imagine
because it's just you,
not
this
being
is
who I am. So it's definitely, you know, at the strength and the level it is because of him, without a doubt. It's in me, you know, and he lived it every day. You know, he was basically, you know, to me growing up, he was a rock star, you know, traveling the world and, you know, playing in, you know, award-winning bands and stuff, and you know, it was cool. And I was like, yeah, I can't wait till I get as tall as you.
Yeah,
which
first of all,
never happened, but you know. But
how tall was your pops?
He was 6'4".
Wow.
Yeah, Superman. Yeah.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, and
so did you guys discuss music?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. You know, again, it's a part of the reason why my appreciation for, you know, just the width and the expanse of what is on offer musically is where it is, because you know, his influence just in those early years, you know, I would always get records from him. He would like give me stuff like King Crimson. You know, I had never even heard of these cats. You know,
what's that?
He gave me a King Crimson record, and it blew my mind because he knew I was really into Massive Attack.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, well, check this out. I was listening to this when I was about your age. When we had this chat, I was probably about 19, 20. He had me that King Crimson record. I was like, oh, yeah, we're the same dude.
Yeah, what the hell is this?
We're the same dude. Wow, you were listening to this at that stage, your age, you know, and yes, it's totally, you know, parallel. So, yeah, he definitely nurtured, you know, my musical exploits, you know, putting me in drum class as a kid. You know, I remember being up at Cal State LA, taking drum lessons, you know, while he was out at rehearsals or something, you know, or just hopping on the piano while he's writing stuff, you know, playing along with him, you know, as just a little tiny, you know, and that's definitely flowing through me, like, continuously.
That's what's up, man, for real. Okay, let me ask you this. I think this is probably a unique question to this setting, which I'm going to hold on to because this is important to me. But what does God have to do with any of this? This DJing thing, this modern male thing, this being who Darius is, what does God have to do with that?
Everything. Because for me, we are the creatures we are because of God. God is the ultimate creator. You know, he created everything we see, and everything that influences us to do what we do, in turn follow his image and then create. So for me, it's the absolute alpha and omega for everything that I do. And you know, God to me is the embodiment of love. You know, just through my spiritual education, I've learned that without the love that we get from God, none of this would be possible. And then some. What is possible hasn't even really been touched on yet. And you know, that's what I'm looking at moving into as a content creator and as somebody that's trying to do my best to reflect what God has put in us. And so yeah, it's everything.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about your other brand. So we spoke about Modern Mail, but what about this furniture stuff that you're working on?
Yeah, well, like Modern Mail, the Reside brand is a subsidiary of my primary brand that I've been working under over the past few years, doing just visual creative work. And again, it's just something I'm passionate about.
And what's the name of the mother company, the mother brand?
Converge Design Solutions. That's the primary company. That's the umbrella for everything else. And through that brand, through that moniker, I've kind of been working since about 2004 on just trying to push out beautiful, creative content. And that in turn has itself blossomed in a way to where now I can produce sub-brands from within that one. And yeah, Reside is just a part of it. I love architecture and modern design, specifically kind of the you know, the Danish modern style, you know, very clean lines and all that good stuff. So I'm putting together a line of furniture that kind of speaks to those aesthetic sensibilities, and you know, it should be nice.
Word.
Looking forward to it.
You have an idea when you're launching that?
Soon.
Word.
Sooner than not soon.
That's what's up. I'm gonna ask you this question again later, but how do you like your table set up? Because I remember one time somebody had showed me what's called, affectionately known as Primo, the way DJ Primo sets his up. I guess it's like battle style DJ setup.
Right.
And I think it's Primo. So I don't even remember, but you know, this is a part of what we're talking about here. But you know, table settings. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because I also know that you cook. You're doing some cooking show stuff on your modern mail joint. So you know, the idea of table settings eventually will be to talk about some wines and some dishes, people's favorite dishes and stuff like that. But as a DJ, how you like your joint set up?
I like them traditional style. You know, it's funny because over the years, I know that battle style, you know, it's got its name, but I don't know if there's like an official name for just having them like sitting straight.
We'll call it traditional.
Yeah, you know, I mean, for me that's just, it's comfortable, it feels natural. I never really, I mean, I'm not a turntablist, you know, so I can understand the benefits of battle style, but you know, for what I do, I don't want to have to reach over the record to cue it or to like reach for the pitch or anything. And, you know, I'm heavy-handed, so you know, I don't know how many times I've mixed on a setup where it's battle style and I'm going to move the pitch and like, you know, knock the needle off the record. You know, I'm like, dang it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, just even outside of that, just comfort-wise, it just feels so natural just to bang pitch right here. Yeah, it feels good. So, yeah, I prefer landscape.
Right. Opposed to the portrait.
Right.
I got you. Word. What was I going to say? There was a question that was coming off of that one. record or vinyl or digital?
You know, that's a good one, because over the years, you know, I consider myself to be a vinyl purist. I love the sound and the feel of mixing on vinyl. Again, that was a part of the initial, you know, adoration, you know, the attraction was just like being able to touch a record. And
it's sexier, definitely.
Yeah, you know, you're kind of touching the music, you know, you're touching, you know, this thing where, you know, all this beautiful sound is printed on, and now I can kind of manipulate it with my hands. And that was always something beautiful to me, and it still is. Mm-hmm. And I do also think, though, you know, with any art, with any field of creativity, you have to move with how it progresses. And whether you're a painter, you know, doing acrylic work, you know, or using oils on fiberboards or whatever, you know, you cannot knock what somebody does in Photoshop using, you know, digital brushes. You know, these are tools that have been developed for us, honestly, just to make life more convenient. Mm-hmm. And up until about 2010, I'd say I was a vinyl-only DJ. And then, you know, with the advent of Serato and Tractor, you know, me just being open to say, you know, hey, let me take a look and see what this, you know, this digital DJing is all about. And the fact that I could still use essentially vinyl, you know, to mix with, and, you know, instead of having,
it's an easier transition.
You know, it was super easy. I never really jumped onto, you know, CD DJing, but I don't frown at it. You know, if I walk into a space that has CDs set up, and it's like, okay, this is what we're doing, cool, fine. I mean, you can give me 2 rocks, I don't care. Whatever it is, you know, I'll find a way to mix it. But, you know, it's you know, I enjoy the feel of mixing on vinyl, but I'm not mad at breaking my back, taking crates of records with me anymore. You know, like, it's perfect. You know, it's like, we actually, I would say that as DJs, years ago, we dreamed about this.
Yeah.
We dreamed for the day where I didn't need a crew, or like, you know, some poor girl breaking her back, you know, helping me carry stuff, or, you know, we wanted this. It's like, wow, I don't have to carry records anymore? Are you kidding me? If somebody would have told me that, you know, 15 years ago, I'd have been like, okay, you're crazy.
You're bugging.
What are you smoking, man? Like,
it was developed in New Zealand, right? I think it's
I believe so.
I think that the technology, because when I look it up, I think it says New Zealand.
I believe Rain is a New Zealand company. I believe so.
Okay.
And I know, you know, Tractor, which, I mean, don't quote me, I think that's a Native Instruments product, and I believe they're German, I think. So, you know, it just shows that, you know, again, people have been thinking about this, you know, globally, and it's something that, you know, we need. So, I mean, I'm even considering, you know,